right, we are live. Hello, Brian from Struggleville. Great to have you here. We're going to give the notification just a minute to get sent to everyone on the list and make sure that folks that would like to be here or intended to be here get a chance to hop on it. If you don't mind sharing with me in the chat, if you can hear and see me okay, first of all. And if you also wouldn't mind sharing where you're tuning in from, and if it's Struggleville, that's good enough. But if you want to give me a general geographical uh, place in the world that you're tuning in from, I'm always kind of interested to see where folks are from or where in the world they're tuning in from. That would be awesome. I'm gonna, again, give folks a few minutes, but we're going to be talking about coaching, what it is, what it isn't, what good coaching looks like, what bad coaching looks like, and how good coaches, talented coaches, well-intended coaches, professional coaches, whether that they're certified or not, are going to be able to survive and thrive in the age of AI. So, yeah, if you don't mind just dropping in where you're tuning in from, that would be awesome. I'm gonna take a sip of water here. It's about 2 minutes after the hour, so we'll give everyone one more minute. Usually it ends up happening that we get about 12 to 20 folks joining in, but a lot of them join in after things have actually got started. Hello, Annette Richmond. Great to have you here. We're going to start for real in one more minute. I just wanted to give a chance for the notification to go out and for folks on my list that want to be here to show up. Hello, Penny. Great to have you here. Penny is a member of the Inner Circle community and one of my current clients in Voxer Velocity, where she has been doing amazing work, making helping fundraising return to its mission and its roots as service to community. If anybody here is in the fundraising space or is someone that is a donor to some sort of fundraising organization, I definitely encourage you to check out Penny and her work. Claire, great to have you here. Claire is also an Inner Circle member. She is one of our more recent members and is getting going with a couple of different projects here on Substack. So you can click on her profile and you can find out what she's up to. So Brian, Annette, Penny, and Claire, we're just sharing for one more minute where we're tuning in from as people are starting to come onto the call, and we're going to get started for real in about 45 seconds. Hello. I hope is it Cassie? It's spelled like it's Cassie, but if it's Casey, I apologize. Jeff, great to have you here. Jeff, also a Circle subscriber to the Creative on Purpose Substack and a current client in Voxer Velocity. Great to have you here, Jeff. So for all of you that have just tuned in, we're just sharing in the chat where we're tuning in from, just where in the world are you? It doesn't have to be anything too specific. What country, what province, what state, what part of the United States or part of the world you're tuning in from. Dr. Angie, good to have you here. Dr. Angie, also an Inner Circle member. And I just saw that Chris Best is also one of the founders of Substack is going live. So he's going to eat the entire live audience, I'm pretty sure. But so far we have 8 people here, which is a very good showing for this early on. So we have Penny, who is here from, I just happen to know that she's in Maine. Jeff is tuning in from Central Illinois. Dr. Angie is tuning in from Boise, Idaho. Great to have you all here. Let's go ahead and get started. So over the last week in the Creative on Purpose Substack, I have shared a couple of articles on what I see as the future of coaching, more specifically, the future of coaching in the AI age and the impact AI is going to have on coaching and how talented, well-intended, generous coaches are going to be able to not only survive but thrive during what I call the great AI sort. uh, just to kind of set the table and share the situation as I see it and some of the problems that make up that situation. In the coaching domain uh, is fraught for many reasons. There is in some ways, coaching is something that's not very well understood by a lot of people, and that includes some of the people that call themselves coaching, but definitely for a lot of people that have already formed an opinion about coaching, maybe it's not a very positive opinion about coaches and coaching, and are missing out on an opportunity to help catalyze their progress between where they are and where they want to be. um, and then for those of us that are in the coaching domain or adjacent domains like healers and teachers, freelancers, consultants, creatives, coaching has experienced a huge bubble since the pandemic. During the pandemic, I was just amazed at how many people who had never talked about coaching any time before in their social media feeds suddenly started putting out these coaching offers and talking about having people hop on for coffee chats and so forth, which is great. It's great that people want to be generous and helpful, especially in times of need, and especially when that need is being felt all over the globe. But what it did was it brought a huge number of people into the coaching domain, or people that were just calling themselves coaches because they saw it as a means to be helpful, but maybe also a means to make a buck. And so we are still experiencing the effects of what I call the coaching bubble. Coaching, by and large, has zero barrier to entry. If you want to be a coach, it doesn't require certification. There's no legislation or any kind of validation process for coaching. You just call yourself a coach and put a shingle out, and suddenly you're a coach. So this is both an opportunity for a lot of people that do have a kind of skill, talent, or uh, type of insight that they can share, and turn it into a business that they can get paid for while they make a difference. It's also created opportunities for people to just conduct a money grab. And so we see a lot of digital marketers and online gurus or self-styled online gurus that call themselves coaches get into coaching purely as a means to build a funnel and make a buck. So the situation is that coaching is honorable, good work, and it is also very easy, an easy field or domain to enter, and that the marketplace is very crowded. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of people that are calling themselves coaches that aren't doing a great job at it, which has diminished the value or the perceived value and marketplace for coaches and coaching. And so um, I'm going to start with a question for you to answer in the chat, and that is, if you are a coach, or if you see the value in coaching, what is coaching something to? Are you the kind of coach that you believe is irreplaceable, regardless of what happens with AI? Or do you see yourself coaching in a way that feels like it might be under threat in the age of AI? Are you replaceable, or are you irreplaceable? And if you want to just drop one word in the chat, if you're speaking for yourself, that's great. If you're speaking about the coaching field or domain or field of endeavor, you can indicate that in the chat. But in general, what I would say is that AI is going to be a huge force multiplier in facilitating what I call the great coaching sort. I will assert that in the next couple of decades, for sure, maybe in a much shorter time frame, that 80% of the people that are calling themselves coaches or in some kind of coaching or coaching adjacent domain are not going to be in that kind of business anymore. That the AI sort is coming. It will take longer than we all expect it to, but in the long run, it will be something that has a huge impact on the number of coaches in the marketplace, but also the level of coaching in the marketplace. And so, um, what I would suggest that you consider, and I see some folks, Brian and Yakov, have already weighed in on the irreplaceable side, and I feel that's great. Um, and I agree with Yakov that AI is a good tool for active coaches. We'll actually talk about that a little bit. But we have to recognize, well, let's just talk about the impact of AI in general. One of the things that I think is useful, as because we're in the early days of the impact of AI on everything. And what we have to remember is that we probably haven't seen this kind of profound shift in in the marketplace, in people's lives since the age of electricity. Now, when electricity became a thing and we started to pull electricity into homes and started to electrify lights and appliances and so forth, it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in just a few years. It took years, it took decades for electricity to become this big thing that people were talking about, many people were concerned about, to becoming ubiquitous and just something that is part of our everyday life. We don't even think about it. We don't think about it when we turn on the lights or when we turn on the dishwasher or the oven or whatever it is. Um, and I think AI is going to have the kind of change that electricity had at the turn of the century, the turn of the 19th into the 20th century. And it's probably going to take a similar length of time for it to become as ubiquitous as electricity has become in our lives. For a lot of folks, I mean, even those of you that are using AI right now, you probably notice that like you might be very enthusiastic about it. Maybe you're deeply concerned about it. But when you talk about how you're using AI or your concerns about AI with your family and your friends, that probably 80% of them, 90% of them don't even really know what you're talking about. They've heard about this, but they're not really exploring it, investigating it. So we're definitely at the innovator stage of AI adoption. The innovators in the normal distribution curve between innovators, early adopters, um, uh, the early majority, the late majority, and the laggards. We're in the innovator, maybe crossing over into the early adopter stage. And so if you're currently using AI, you're definitely in the early going. And this is probably where there's a great opportunity for you to leverage AI as a force multiplier for protecting and promoting and leveling up your coaching business. So what I see happening sooner rather than later, probably in the next several years, is AI is going to turn nice, smart, helpful coaching into a commodity. And if you offer just reassurance or you offer templates or you offer fresh perspective, the market pressure and pricing is going to have a huge impact on your business, not to mention the impact it's going to have on client retention or community member retention in your mastermind or group coaching program. So, the real sorting mechanism is that coaching uh, has always involved people that are becoming coaches or leveling up their coaching skills, moving through three stages. There's the stage of coaching for agreement, coaching for insight, coaching for intentional action. And coaching for agreement is just what it sounds like. There are coaches that are simply validating what you already know or whatever identity you already have or whatever beliefs you already have. They're cheerleaders and telling you how great they are. And that's that's fine. Most of us that get into coaching, and aren't sociopaths or psychopaths are people pleasers. We like to do good, but we also like to feel good. And so we find ourselves coaching for agreement. If we validate what people already think and we cheer them on and the things they're already doing, it is likely that they will continue to keep us on retainer as coaches. Some of us, many of us, will move from the agreement stage into what I call the insight stage. And this is where most of the most famous coaches live. I'm not going to name any names, but um, you've seen them on Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook and LinkedIn. These are the people that are masters at the Socratic method. They are masterful at helping you at asking more beautiful questions and helping people see what they didn't see in a way they can unsee it, revealing their blind spots, revealing their misleverage, providing these holy shit big aha moments. And that's great. Insight is something that's really important. The thing about coaches that coach for insight is that for both the client and for the coach, the insight feels like accomplishment. When someone arrives at that insight, arrives at that epiphany, a client arrives at this epiphany or insight, they feel like they actually accomplished something, which they did. They accomplished an insight, but it hasn't changed their behavior. It hasn't moved them closer to getting to what they actually want. And when you see coaches coaching for insight that never move beyond the insight stage, they deliver or help the client achieve that epiphany, and then they kind of say, "Oh, well, looks like we're complete." That's worked for a long time. There's many famous coaches that have made a huge amount of money coaching for insight. Most of them will probably continue to make a lot of money for a little while because they're trading on their reputation and their existing fame and fortune. But something that I realized many years ago, that if I was going to actually make a decent living and become the kind of coach I wanted to become and make the kind of impact I wanted to have with my clients, I couldn't compete with the insight coaches that were already famous and had amassed fortunes, because there's just so much room in the big head of the marketplace, and the coaches that we could all name have already claimed that space. In the long tail of coaches, which I am definitely a part of, you have to figure out your positioning. You have to figure out where in the marketplace you can stand up and be seen, recognized, heard, and earn awareness, attention, permission, and trust from the right people. And so the way that I've thought about doing that, or how I do it, is I am coaching for insight that leads to intentional action. When I look at the field now, the coaches that are coaching for agreement are already toast, because all you have to do is play with Claude AI or ChatGPT for an afternoon, and you'll see that you are working with the most agreeable coach you've ever worked with. They are people pleasers, they are validators, they are cheerleaders, and that's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you can try to prompt it to provide more pushback or to be more critical and so forth, but it always ends up defaulting over time back to agreeableness. The insight coaching is definitely being right now someplace where you can survive, but it is quickly being the kind of thing that AI can do very, very well, and it will only get better at that over time. And so those that are coaching for insight, um, insight is more or less free. If you're just an average insight coach, you're already been competed out of the market, because AI can be prompted to be an average insight coach, and it's getting better all the time. And it's probably not going to be possible for an average insight coach to accelerate into a proficient, excellent, preeminent insight coach faster than AI is going to be able to do it. And so that really leaves for the foreseeable future intentional action coaching as the place where coaches can still thrive and can still win. And so, um, you know, in order to do that, we have to lean into the things that AI is not good at, which is the actual feeling of human to human connection, whether it's on Zoom or in one on one, person to person coaching. But um, that intentional action, how do you, I call it, my process leverages what I call empathetic antagonism. When I am working with a client, when I am working with a group, I am trying to get underneath their skin just enough to make them feel uncomfortable and sit with that discomfort long enough for them to achieve the insight that they need to then take the next step into their potential and possibility, because that will help them actually make meaningful progress towards the thing they're trying to accomplish. It has pushed them into a next level where there is still plenty of optionality and still plenty of room to take the next step. But it's always about forward motion. How can some I go from helping someone just achieve insight for the sake of insight to achieving insight that helps them take intentional action that helps them make meaningful progress to something that matters to them. And so where insight feels like progress, intentional action actually provides the collision with reality and the feedback loop um, that helps create progress. It also creates opportunities for mistakes and failure and sitting with the pain and suffering of imposter syndrome or anxiety about the future. And so that insight ceiling is something that proficient coaches have to get better at helping their clients break through. And so, you have to reliably, as a coach that is coaching for an intentional action, be able to turn that aha into an I did it. So if we want to just do a quick check in here, just want to make sure that everybody's tracking with some of the things I'm sharing. And again, what I'm sharing is like, I'm not saying it's doomsday for coaches and you better do it the way I'm suggesting, or you're not going to have a job. All of us that are coaches, whether you're coaching for agreement, coaching for insight, coaching for intentional action, doing a done for you, doing a done with you, or doing a DIY, do it yourself kind of coaching. There's plenty of time and there's plenty of opportunity right now. Long term, some of those things are really um, going to get taken over by AI, and they should be, right? If it can be done better, if the instructions can be plugged into a GPT and get the same results or better results than you're able to provide, why would that not be a good thing? That gives you the opportunity to lean into the things that AI can't currently accomplish. AI is going to be able to accomplish the collection of information, the dissemination of information, some of the connecting the dots that happen when enough dots are collected. But AI is not human and it's not terribly creative. And so if you lean into the human skills, what Seth Godin calls the re-skills of connection and communication and collaboration and collaborative creative activity and innovation and support and encouragement, again with empathetic antagonism to take intentional action, you should be honing those skills because those skills are not going to be taken over by AI anytime soon. In fact, they'll be the last things that AI takes over, at least in my opinion. So another way to think about this is um, thinking about it in the context of Lucas Fisher's clarity hierarchy. If you're not familiar with that, um, I can't remember the name of Lucas's Substack right now, but if you look up Lucas Fisher, you'll find it. There's a great article that he's written on the Clarity hierarchy. It's his intellectual property. I have written a post where I have credited Lucas for the concept and for the IP, but have definitely put my own spin on it. And if you go to the Creative on Purpose Substack and look up a Clarity hierarchy, you'll see it. But the way that the Clarity hierarchy is structured is that it's a hierarchy, which means it's a pyramid. And at the top of the pyramid is tools. Below tools is tactics. Below tactics is strategy. Below strategy is principles. And below principles is philosophy. Philosophy, what do you believe? What's the assertion that you are testing? That's philosophy. Principles, what are the first principles? What are the things that you know to be true? What are the 2 or 3 things that have to happen to prove or disprove your philosophy, your belief or assertion? Strategy is a bridge between these kind of foundational elements of principles of philosophy in the bridge to the tactics and the tools. The tactics are what you're doing, and the tools are how you're doing it. And the strategy is taking where you are and helping you build the bridge between your principles and your execution through the tactics. They're principles that you are able to put into action through a tactic, so that the strategy is where you are and how you're building the bridge to where you want to be. And so the thing about most coaches is they actually think from the top down, because tools are kind of sexy. This is why the App Store and apps are so popular. This is why coaches and digital marketers and online gurus that are selling um, some sort of audit process or some sort of survey or some sort of roadmap or blueprint or framework, what have you, do so well, because we love to collect these tools. We love new things. We crave novelty, and we crave tools. Tools are easy to understand. They're easy to collect, and we kind of get instant gratification. If you buy a tool and use a tool, you will get some sort of result. And nothing wrong with tools. We need tools, but tools and tactics are the easiest things to sell, and therefore there's a lot of them, which means that you're probably have collected already more tools and tactics than you actually need to succeed. And the more tools and tactics that you are collecting and using and trying to keep afloat, the harder it is to fulfill your strategy, because strategy it becomes more effective and efficient when you use only the necessary tools and tactics to execute the strategy and get you closer to the results that you want. And so most coaches right now live in that tools, tactics, maybe strategy kind of offers. So they're selling blueprints and roadmaps. They're selling LinkedIn DM strategies or Facebook ad strategies or organic marketing strategies, whatever it is as tactics, or they may be selling tools that help you achieve that. And again, nothing wrong with any of that. Although over time, I think we're going to find that most of the coaches that traffic simply in creating and selling digital tools, digital tactics, digital strategies are going to find themselves competing with the AI, and that's a game you cannot win, because AI is always going to do it faster and cheaper. And so over time, and it will take probably longer than we think it will, strategic coaches, tactical coaches, tool-oriented coaches will be just priced and competed out of the marketplace. Those of us that live in the philosophy and principles, where we're talking about the integrity of what we do, meaning it aligns with who we are and what we're really good at and where we belong, and where those of us in the philosophy and principles space that are dedicated to decision quality, helping people make decisions better so that they can make better decisions that help them take intentional action that aligns with their values and their guiding principles and their boundaries. Uh, and that, we're also consequence aware, right? For those of us that coach from this place of philosophy and principles, doesn't mean we don't use strategy, tactics, and tools, but what the reason we come from these foundational levels in the coaching pyramid and the clarity hierarchy is that the object is to help our clients make decisions better, make better decisions that reduce risk and increase optionality going forward. And that takes a level of discernment, of emotional intelligence, and just human understanding that, again, AI is not going to replace anytime soon. Um, so, one of the pressure tests that you can do on your coaching program is, does it rely on tools? Does it rely on tactics? Does it rely on one strategy? And if so, it is likely that AI can already or will soon be able to replicate those tools, tactics, and or strategy, and it will do it at least as good, if not better than you. And of course, it will do it for far cheaper. And so it's worth thinking about what are the principles beneath the strategy that inform the strategy, that inspire the strategy, that maintain the intention and integrity of the strategy, both your intention and integrity, but the intention and integrity of your clients, so that it informs the tools and tactics, which may be AI powered, if they're not already. But you're going to be doing that foundational human work of discernment, understanding, empathy, compassion, empathetic antagonism, connection, collaboration, and creative thinking. Um, I guess one more thing to talk about in terms, and I should have said this a while back, but if you look at the last two posts at Creative on Purpose, the Substack Creative on Purpose, just go to creativeonpurpose/substack.com. Um, you'll see that on Tuesday, I wrote an article about what I call the Great Coaching Sort, which is a shorter article. And then on Thursday, I did a longer article on, is this the death of coaching or the death of coaching, question mark, where I talk more about these more nuanced elements. And so as coaches, I think we also have to think about our role clarity, and the role clarity that I use, I borrow from Dr. Jeff Spencer, who is a performance coach. Um, and the role clarity is, are you a technician? Are you a mentor? Or are you a person in your client's corner? Technicians are the people that are offering tools and tactics. These are your coders and your graphic designers and your website developers and app designers and all that sort of thing. Technical work that can already start to be replicated by AI and will be done so with greater and greater efficiency and effectiveness for less money, which means if you are in a technical field, you're going to have to figure out what are the human elements that AI can't replace that you can bring into that work, and maybe how can you turn over some of that technical work to AI so that you can go all in and leverage those more human elements. Mentors are uh, where most coaches live, which is, I've accomplished this thing. This is how I did it, and I I've created a process or a framework or a delivery system where I can teach it to you. Well, again, with mentors, with this idea that I solved the problem for myself, I've refined a process and approach for how I do that. If all of that can be written down, a GPT can be created already that will actually replicate your process. And that means that if AI can replicate it, eventually it will if it hasn't already. And so um, the what that leaves is the corner person, the person in your corner. The corner man from the Rocky movies, or if you prefer corner woman, the person that has the discernment that is earned through long experience, not necessarily in any specific domain, but in life itself. Those of us that are identify as corner persons have usually had 60 or more trips around the sun. We have seen the four ages that's every society goes through and repeats over and over and over again, which is hard times make strong people make good times make weak people, and weak people make bad times. And if you think about each of those generationally, over 4 generations, over 60 years, you're going to see the entire cycle play out. And that has given us a level of experience, of discernment, of learning from a place of philosophy and principles that we can provide insights in a variety of domains for people looking for help in a variety of situations, or um, careers, domains, life situations, circumstances, etc. So decide on your role clarity. If you're going to be a technician, you're going to have to think hard about what is AI already getting pretty good at, what will it get better at quickly, and what will it take over while you're still trying to just level up or keep up. If you're a mentor, if you have processes that you're coaching from that can be written down, that can be put into frameworks or strategies or blueprints, etc., that's something that AI is going to get better and better at very, very quickly. What are the human elements that you need to weave into your mentorship that will allow you to continue to stand out in the marketplace, and not be replaceable by AI? And again, my assertion is that for those of us of a certain age, this idea of being the person in the corner, creating communities of practice, leveling up in our ability for discernment, for empathetic antagonism, for coaching for insight that leads to intentional action, that are able to work creatively and collaboratively toward a meaningful change. I think that the future is brighter for those kind of coaches. And the last thing that I'll share here, and I'm open to anybody that wants to share in the comments, any counter assertions or any questions. If something that I've said has rubbed you the wrong way, or you have a different point of view, I'm happy to hear that. If you have a question about anything I've shared, I'm happy to hear that as well. But one of the things that we often hear about in the coaching space is, the kind of offer that you have. Is it a do-it-yourself offer? Is it a done-for-you offer? Is it a done-with-you offer? So, uh, again, and a lot of us have offers that have, that intersect or align with all three, or two or more of these type of offers. The do-it-yourself offers are now supercharged thanks to ChatGPT and Claude AI, right? If you are um, offering do-it-yourself uh, hook templates or swipe files for social media, or graphic programs for creating engaging graphics for your blog posts or social media posts, anything that is like that, something that's would be a checklist, a swipe file, a blueprint, or roadmap. That kind of do-it-yourself approach can now mostly be done by ChatGPT or Claude AI. And so it's not that you don't have DIY elements to your offer, that you can't offer a DIY type of offer, but you're probably going to have to advocate to AI what it already is just as good at, if not better at, than you, and figure out what's that human edge, what's that human to human connection edge that you're going to weave in to make your DIY offers stand out against the simple AI solutions. Done with you type of offers are still viable. I think they are getting tighter, but if you have a specific outcome and a specific framework for how that's accomplished, marching someone through your online course or through your accelerator or mastermind program is probably not going to work for too much longer. Um, but if it bakes in some sort of accountability loop or some sort of um, gamified, progress, uh, approach, or if there is a group coaching element where people are able to share different perspectives, especially if it's a high end type of mastermind, not high end necessarily in types of price, but in terms of the quality of the kind of people, that their level of success or professionalism in a domain that is being served by a mastermind. Those done with you type of programs have legs, and again, if you just weave in those things, those elements of human discernment, the human accountability, um, uh, the human way that you help people put themselves on the hook and stay on the hook. Um, Done with you offers can be actually augmented by AI. And then the done for you is, this is where maybe you have an agency and you create social media ads, or you create uh, landing pages or websites, or uh, maybe you create apps or whatever it is, and it's a done for you type of enterprise. Um, the 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 thing that for done for you is, if you are truly one of the best in the world at doing what you do and the way that only you do it, done for you probably still works for a long time. Again, it works better um, if you can highlight the human element. So again, I said that some insight coaches are going to continue to thrive in the age of AI. If you are famous and charismatic, and um, people get a jump up and down and get excited every time you walk on the stage or open up the Zoom room or whatever, you will be fine for the foreseeable future. For those of us that haven't earned that level of notoriety or fame, or just are not performative in that way, um, then we have to lean into the other edges. How do we leverage discernment? How do we leverage empathy? How do we leverage intentional action? And so, uh, you know, I'll just close with kind of, how this has played out for me. But again, if you have anything to share in the chat, I'm eager to hear your questions or your any pushback. Um, but like all coaches, I began as an agreeable coach. I had the great fortune of becoming a coach in Seth Godin's Akimbo workshops. I eventually became the head coach of the freelancers workshop and the creatives workshop, and I coached multiple sessions of the marketing seminar and did some coaching in the story skills workshop and the bootstrappers workshop. um, but despite all of that experience, and despite having that reputation facilitated and accelerated by my association with Seth Godin, at the beginning, I was I was coaching for agreement. I like to be liked. And so I was often preferred to be nice rather than to be kind and say the things that had to be said to actually move someone closer to what they wanted to be. I was, being supportive in that I was being a kind of a cheerleader and again, validating what people already believed. Totally natural. As I grew into a coach that was able to coach for insight, as I grew better at the Socratic method, asking more beautiful questions, helping people arrive at their own insights, helping people not just see the light switches and see the doorways, but actually um, helping them move forward, or helping them, uh, you know, start to do something with that. That's when I started to transition into this coaching for intentional action. It's one thing to be able to help people see the light switches and see the doorways. It's a very different kind of thing and a very different kind of coach that can help someone see the light switch and walk over and turn it on, see the doorway, and actually cross the threshold to embrace the tension and the uncertainty of the possibility on the other side and take the smallest step into their potential and possibility in a way that is involves the least amount of risk and maintains the most amount of optionality. And so that's the trajectory that I have learned, going from agreement to insight to coaching for an intentional action. The folks that are here that are part of the community, Dr. Angie, Jeff, Penny, Claire, all of you here that are part of our community, you've been instrumental in helping me level up in the kind of coaching that I'm able to provide and creating a community where the community becomes the greatest asset because of you, because of the people in that community. And it's an asset that has very little to do with me. I'm just the impresario. I'm the facilitator. I'm the person that created the room, or the way I prefer to think about it is I built the campfire and encourage the first couple of people to come in and warm themselves by the fire and start telling their stories and sharing their stories. And you all helped make it easier, and more valuable for more of the right people to come into that fire. So a big part of all of this, in terms of leveling up your abilities as a coach, and more specifically, leveling up the abilities that will set you apart from other coaches and set you apart from all the coaches that will be replaced by AI. A big part of that is creating community. It doesn't mean that you have to open up a Zoom every single week or that you have to be on call and create forums and all that sort of thing. Community is a many splendored thing, and there's many models for communities out there. What has worked for me is to create a community of subscribers on Substack. There's over 1,000 subscribers to the Creative on Purpose Substack, and I value each and every one of them. And I share weekly insights that inspire intentional action every single Monday or Tuesday for everyone that's subscribed. And for those that would like a deeper level of proximity and access, there's the Circle, which provides weekly calls, group call on Monday and Wednesday, where we have small group conversations about topics that broadly apply to anyone that wants to build a better business by making a better living and making a bigger difference. And I'm not present for most of those conversations. I I share a prompt. Sometimes we crowdsource a prompt from the group. Everyone goes into small groups of 3. They discuss the prompt. They arrive at their own insights. They come back to the main room and share the insight that they've learned, but also shared their intention for what they're going to do with that insight after they leave the room. So it's a way of baking in some accountability, helping people put themselves on and stay on the hook, helping them get 2 chances a week to arrive at insights that inspire them to take intentional action. And I'm largely just opening and closing a Zoom room. Um, I do have a session on Wednesday where my one-on-one clients, and some of the members of the Inner Circle community, which have access to all the benefits of the Circle community, but also get to participate in calls on Wednesday where they can actually sign up for a hot seat, where they can actually tell me what they're trying to accomplish, the resources that they're applying, the action that they've taken, the learning that they've um, arrived at, and ask me a question that will help identify their most immediate next constraint so that I can help them navigate that so that they come back the next Wednesday half a shade braver and half a step or a whole step closer to what they want. That's my model. Not suggesting anybody do anything that's that involved. I know many communities on Substack that never meet on Zoom and never participate in any kind of forum or Slack channel. It all happens just through the content that's delivered through the Substack. So there's community is many splendid thing. Uh, Choose your game, play your game, and do it with an intention and integrity, and you will thrive and survive in the age of AI. So that's my little riff rant about the future of coaching in the age of AI. Again, not trying to be an alarmist. I think AI, we're in the very early days. Only the innovators are currently concerned about or leveraging AI as tools in their coaching business that help them set themselves apart and deliver better results for their clients. Um, and just like electricity has done in the past, as it becomes more and more ubiquitous and more part of all of our everyday lives, you will see AI very quickly taking over any of the lower levels of coaching that are where the primary coaching on offer is around agreement or insight. AI is already better at agreement than any human being is. ChatGPT and Cloud AI are the most agreeable coaches I've ever worked with, um, and they're getting better at insight coaching all the time, and they will get better, and they will get better fast. So, coaching for agreement, coaching for insight. Um, your days are over or numbered, probably more so than those of us that are moving into this being a person in your corner, coaching for insight, and leveraging AI, whether it's a do it yourself, done with you or done for you type of offer. So I hope that all that has been helpful, useful. I don't see any questions or comments coming in, and yeah, so we got a good number of people in here. I appreciate everyone coming in. Special thanks to Penny, Claire, Jeff, Dr. Angie, uh, yeah, and any other members of the circle or inner circle community or clients that I forgot to mention. But I always appreciate your support in particular, but everyone's support in general. And I hope that you all have a great week until I see you again. Be well, do good, have fun.